What's going on, guys? Let me know in the comments really quick before we do kick this thing off. I want to know how the volume sounds for you guys. Is it too quiet? Is it too loud? Can you hear anything in the background? Let me know, and then I can adjust the gain. There's an AC in the room. Not an AC, but it's a machine that's kicking off some noise in the background. I don't think it should affect it too much, but let me know if I'm too loud or too quiet or anything like that. Looks like Luke said it was perfect. David, cool, sounds good. All right, nice guys. All right, cool. Gonna break down this Bitcoin a little bit more gain. Okay, 1 second. We'll see what that does. That should be a little bit louder. Hopefully that helps, Soda. Gonna be looking at Bitcoin, the absolute carnage. I feel like I definitely kind of missed a long opportunity there. I feel like, and I kind of want to talk about why I think, cool. I kind of want to talk about what's going on, Glory. I kind of want to talk about why I think that short opportunity, I don't like it anymore. Right, I just feel like I'm late. So the big topic or the big thing that I want to talk about is something that I battle with a lot, especially because in crypto, cool. Cool, Glory. In crypto, it's so easy to kind of get caught up in trading versus investing, and almost even investing feels like trading because it moves so quick, right? But different positions, depending on kind of what your time horizon is for them, that trading versus investing line can really be blurred. So I want to talk about Bitcoin, kind of my thoughts there in terms of a short, in terms of different BitMEX plays, kind of how I trade Bitcoin personally. And it's never financial advice. It's never to say that you guys should be following me perfectly anyways, because that's just not how anyone's going to learn. And honestly, the people who do best, and even some of the people that have left the group now, took some of the stuff that I worked with and then adapted it to their own, and then who knows? They might even be way better at me at certain things now. So anyways, want to talk about that, investing and trading in a few different things. A few different things I learned from Ronnie Moaz, kind of my little bit different approach, but there's a good lesson there. And then also outlook, obviously, and what we're looking at here. Kind of looks like a Christmas tree right now. So I'm going to take away some of these boxes, but we will cover this in a second. After that, I want to look at kind of the state of the alts. ETH breaking that major support. It was yesterday when I was kind of talking about Bitcoin and ETH both along major supports. They weren't broken yet. Yesterday's major support was 7,800 for Bitcoin. For ETH, it was both of these lines. Now we're below both of them, right? So kind of that game plan that we possibly talked about yesterday and having to kind of re-strategize while we're here, less than a day later. So I want to go over that as well. And then also kind of the two coins or the ways that I'm looking to play a bounce in alts, because I still truly believe, just the way that Bitcoin and the alt markets have been trading, it's been, the correlation's always high with alts, and it's remained really high. I think that's going to continue probably for, I guess, really as long as the market structure is all tied to Bitcoin. I think more fiat on-ramps will help. I think different, as institutions come in and more active and passive products are available, I think that'll help. But right now, everything kind of trades together. The interesting thing in the past month or two, I guess actually really since, I would say maybe April or end of March, is how closely even Bitcoin has been trading to altcoins. I still think that correlation continues, albeit it's not perfect. It's not a one-to-one correlation, but it's still pretty strong, meaning that if Bitcoin bounces, I still believe that alts will bounce, and I actually believe they'll bounce harder. Just like the last couple times we got a bounce here, things like Tomo and others doing a 25%. And now have definitely retraced back down to, I think everything's almost at its April low. If it's not, Bittrex and a lot of those coins were already at their cycle lows. So it looks like a lot of coins are either at their cycle low or kind of being pulled like a magnet to their cycle lows. Right? So that April 4th line that we talked about last week, really going into this week, is kind of, or the beginning of April, that's kind of where everything's being pulled anyways. Right. So talk about that and kind of the two coins I'm looking to go into. I continue to see more bullish stuff about Aura. So that is kind of taken over Loom as my high conviction play going forward. Loom worked out really nice last month, so I'm hoping that Aura can kind of pull through as the next big play this month. But I'm going to kind of continue to break down. I need to reach out to the team as well and see if there's anything that I can do to kind of help support that project in a healthy way. Anyways, let's break into Bitcoin. I'm going to say what up to everyone in here. What's going on, David? What's up, What's up, Soda? Dre, I saw your question, and who else has a question? Sugar Spot, both of you guys have really good questions. I'm going to get to those after I dive into this a little bit more. Surf said, let's stick a fork in it. What's up, John? What's up, John B? John O? All right, cool. Good little crew in here today. If everyone's in here, that means you're still alive, which is good to see. And one thing I do kind of want to touch on before we really go into this, because back when Bitcoin was at 6.6, I imagine everyone was with me back then. That was a move from about 11.5 or 11.6 all the way down to 6.6. Now this current move or current kind of correction we're in from the top of this symmetrical triangle, if we're blurring everything else out, let me just simplify everything going on here. Right, if we're just looking at this triangle, and Peter Brandt do a really clean one, if we're just looking at kind of the symmetrical triangle that we've been trading in, right, that 11.6 down to 6.6 drop was absolutely brutal. Right, I think that sucked the life out of everyone. That's when we were seeing a lot of kind of more 2K or 3K or whatever K Bitcoin calls. Interestingly enough, back here, this is also this kind of consolidation. Every single time we got along this support, this is exactly when kind of people were saying alts would really never come back. The alt market as we knew it was dead. Really only a few projects would survive. We were going to see bear market like 2014. Alts are done. Bitcoin is probably done for the rest of the year as well. After that consolidation and that one massive pump, things changed really quickly as kind of the call to move into alts early April and kind of be heavy in some of those with higher conviction, how well that played off. And it's kind of a short-term memory thing. People have almost forgot, how it was back here. I know we are at 75 and this drop was brutal, but there's only a drop from about 99 to 7.5. So it's really kind of only half the pain we've seen here. All right, so just keeping things into perspective before I dive in. It was 100% a brutal drop, especially since a lot of the alts, I guess a few alts are still above their April lows, looking at high and mid caps. And then definitely some of the plays like Ren and Tomo and Loom and a few other ones are as well. But most have almost fully retraced in Bitcoin value. So looking at where we are now, after that 7,800, pull a couple of these lines back up and get rid of this guy. I'll add it back in. This is the chart we were looking at the other day, right? And just kind of reviewing my decision-making process, how I was approaching this. What's up, D. Callahan? How I was approaching this going into last week and how I was also kind of setting my bids for Bitcoin, right? So when I was approaching this dip, when we weren't able to cross 9.3, right, to me, and I've clarified this a few times, to me, after we broke out of this defounding downtrend, this has been kind of, the reversal was 6.6 to me, and I actually still think that 6.6 was kind of the bottom, right? Or at least local bottom for this cycle. So as we weren't able to cross 9.4, 9.3, right, and the sell-off continued, I was looking to play a bounce at two different levels, right? And that was either 8.4, right, or that was down here at this 7,800, 8K. And it's just, oh, what's up, some stranger? Yeah, sorry about that. Cool. Sounds like it's good. And then 7.8 was the next one. 7.8 kind of being that major level that you saw every single person on Twitter talking about. And then after a level that's that significant breaks, you can see how quick the selling was. There's a good question. I posted kind of a thread on this in the Bitcoin trend analysis, and someone was asking, why wouldn't I be looking to take this short here if 7,800 breaks? And I thought definitely the short-term momentum is going to be strong if we do break 7,800. But in my opinion, oh man, it keeps happening. In my opinion, in what I'm looking at down at this cheap of Bitcoin, 7,800 or even the 6.6 back here, I think I almost repeated it every single day when we were in this range. In that, I don't know if I like a leveraged long. I don't like really ever anyone taking more than like a 5 or a 10x trade on Bitcoin and really levering up to the gills. But I still just thought risk reward wise, even if I'm not buying here, right, even if I'm kind of depleted of cash, and I'm talking about other people and kind of taking everyone's situations into account, even if I'm depleted of cash, if I'm looking at supports and I'm looking at risk reward, I just didn't kind of like selling there, right? And my thought process there kind of aligns with, it's actually the same right here, right? My thought process there in not wanting to sell or really short Bitcoin when we're really at 6.6 or in the 7K range, low sevens, is that if I'm thinking, and I truly kind of believe in Bitcoin's value proposition medium to long term, and I also believe that institutional investors are going to come in, Coinbase and other kind of processes and infrastructure projects are being built that's going to allow for more capital to come in. It's deflationary, all these things. To me, 7,500 or 6.6 is so cheap that I at least don't want to be selling there, right? So for me to kind of take a short that low, it would kind of just go against that. But I also want to separate what I mentioned earlier, investing from trading, right? So the one thing I made a post about the other day is that in crypto and really in anything, I don't ever really want to be betting against momentum, right? So as we're moving down here, I kind of don't want to be trying to catch a falling knife, right? And even here, right, I guess you could play a leveraged long or a high leveraged long or anything like that. I try to be trading with the trend, right? And in my opinion, after we broke out of this, it was my view that we were in an uptrend, right? So that's why I was kind of looking to take a buy here. That view is invalidated now that we've kind of crossed below 7,800. We could still be in an uptrend, right? This would mark, where are we at? If this is our kind of first lower low, higher low, this would mark, another higher low, right? So we could still be in an uptrend, right? But my view was that 7,800 was going to hold. The part where this gets interesting, or the part where it gets a little bit tricky is, having kind of my belief, and after talking to Ronnie and Pomp and a couple other guys, having the belief that Bitcoin is discounted when it's this cheap down here in the 7s or in the 6s, and I look out, 3 or 6 months or something like that, believing or looking at Bitcoin, I just highly, highly, highly doubt that it's that cheap, right? 3 to 6 months out or a year out or 2 years out or 3 years out. I just personally have such a hard time, and I would have such a hard time selling my Bitcoin under that, right? Really anything under 9 or 10K is really, really hard for me to do, right? So that's kind of why I don't, but I also need to separate a little bit of that from trading, because I know everyone has kind of a different style, especially on not only just their approach to crypto, but then also on BitMEX. So kind of how I trade Bitcoin and how I use BitMEX, I'm a little bit slower moving, and I'm looking to play the larger swings than some people who scalp, right? I did used to do a lot more scalping, but now that I kind of spend time on other things as well, also building a few different things, I just don't have as much time to sit there and do as much scalping. I think the short play here was, you could have played a nice scalp, but I still didn't like that. So it's just kind of, it's a little thought, I am long futures. If I'm going to exit, I'm averaged in, I think it's around 8,400 is my entry. This would be my lowest entry, the 7,800. If we can bounce back to here, right, this old support level, 7,800, now turning resistance, right, then I could consider kind of a short hedge, right? But I don't want to be market shorting down here, especially if I kind of like this horizontal support level. Right, coming off both these. If I like this horizontal support level kind of lining up with this symmetrical triangle support, I personally don't kind of want to be market shorting in this range. To me, that just doesn't make sense. It's not clean enough, right? So, I am long. I don't want to be just biased just because I'm long or just because I thought the trend reversed, right? Staying objective, that support broke. But at the same time, kind of my view in holding those futures definitely for the bigger swing. If I'm averaged at 8,400, to me, I still think we're higher than that in a month. That's kind of the one reason. And if the short-term pain, is only down to this symmetrical triangle and this holds, right, then my kind of view is, I don't want to sell. But at the same time, sticking to the rules and not continuing, as we break this and kind of saying, well, I think this will hold. And as we break this, well, I don't think we're going to get to 5,500. That's where you can get in a lot of trouble in trading and kind of mixing that with your long-term belief or long-term view. Right? So that's kind of where those two things align. Depending on that's kind of where those two things conflict. Depending on where you fit on that spectrum. I know there's some guys who do a lot of BitMEX, do a lot of shorter term trading, do a lot of scalping, and I know there's some guys who are simply looking at areas to inject fiat into Bitcoin and don't want to mess with anything with leverage or don't want to mess with any futures or anything like that. Right? So different kind of, I know everyone's going to use these levels a little bit differently. I kind of want to explain what I'm looking at there. Average entry 8,400 with the June. I still kind of want to see if we can bounce up here, and if Bitcoin respects this as resistance, maybe I look to hedge with a swap there. But me personally, I'm actually still keeping kind of that June future long open for right now. That's just how I'm playing it. The daily did close below, but I want to see if we can at least, maybe I'll close that exposure if we can bounce back up to 7,800. If we don't, and if we hang around this level a little bit more, then I'll just realize the loss. Because it's just realizing the loss. You can catch a hot streak in April, and then, the previous 2 trades I lost on BitMEX. So, it's tough, but sometimes you just got to realize the loss. Anyways, moving on to alts, which I think we've played a little bit better. At least I think I've played a little bit better going into May, even though it has been a down month. We talked about consolidating a few days ago, and I kind of talked about my decision with Icon. Icon continues to droop, as I imagine most other kind of large or mid caps do, looking across the board, kind of being sucked down or a magnet down to their April lows, right? Talked about why I consolidated on that one. Talked about why I held on to Enigma, and Enigma has almost bounced back. Well, it reached break even today. Right, so that's kind of the difference there of sticking with the rules and having that system help you kind of eliminate the bias as opposed to looking at the investing type with Bitcoin. Right, so Enigma really back at break even, I guess down 1 or 2%. Icon talked about consolidating that loss back to Bitcoin. Everything else and what I'm looking to do in kind of the play going forward. Actually, let's look at the alt market first. How I'm kind of looking to play that going forward. ETH now breaking this major support is interesting, and I think it does give a little bit of a setup for a short play. At the same time, the correlation I think is going to remain strong with Bitcoin and other alts if Bitcoin can bounce, and I think we're closer to a bounce than we aren't. I think ETH and other alts can actually continue in their uptrend, right? So this one also feels a little bit late to short. If we can get a nice bounce, just like with Bitcoin, and we can kind of rip back up to a major resistance, then I'll consider taking a short, right? I don't want to be eager just to kind of get back or make a little bit of Bitcoin at the end of the day just because I lost a trade today, right? So I looked at a setup there, wanted to take it. At the same time, I don't want to just rush into a trade and just try to make money, because I realized a loss. All right, so I'm staying away from that, and I'm really just focused kind of on Aura, which continues, and I've talked about this. It's the IDEX token. It's also part of kind of that whole ecosystem, the Aurora DAO. They have a lending platform. They have kind of a whole lot of things going on there, and that continues to be the most used DApp, the most used DEX, and then also Tomo Chain, which is back down at about $1, 55 million market cap. If you guys remember, 55 million market cap is actually when we started moving in, right? And we were able to kind of squeeze out a 2 or 3x. I still haven't taken any profits from that, so I have a pretty hefty position. So I'm really looking to add into Aura first, right? Tomo is up still considerably in ETH and Bitcoin. I think it's a little bit above a 2x. Dollar-wise, it's kind of flat, right? So Tomo and Aura continue to kind of be my 2 highest conviction plays, and that's what I'm looking to add into on a bounce. I'm not looking to add yet. Honestly, guys, I'm kind of sitting on my hands a little bit, mostly because of that view that I mentioned before. Just like when we were at 6.6, to me, just risk-reward wise, I'm either buying at support or I'm doing nothing, and we're this close to a support. I don't want to be selling, and I really don't want to be shorting. But that's just my view, and that's where my view and some other people, are going to differ. Right? So I feel like I kind of missed my short opportunity. Really nice play if anyone was able to grab a short. What were the 2 questions? Let me break into those because I know those were a good discussion as well. Let me get Sugar Spas. So, been talking about a close below 7.8, right? The major support, which right when that fell, we had the massive sell. Support at 7.5 area looks pretty good. Is that a better zone? Does this thinking lead towards slippage of profits? Sugar Spa, I guess, are you already in a long or are you already in a short? So the other thing that I want to bring up with investing versus trading is not trading against momentum. If I'm trading, right, and I'm talking about short-term trading, shorter-term moves, right, I rarely want to be betting against momentum. I prefer to be trading with the trend, meaning when Bitcoin's trending up, in April, we were able to catch some nice BitMEX plays on the move up, right, even kind of in a $1,000 swing on one of these massive spikes. So I want to be trading with the trend short-term. If I'm investing and I'm kind of looking at my play a month out, 3 months out, 6 months out, or a year out, I kind of do want to be a contrarian because it's okay to be a little bit early if you're a contrarian and your time horizon on that play is, let's say, 6 months or a year out. Just like when we moved down from here originally, my buys were staggered at 9K, 8,500, and I think 7K towards the bottom. Right, and at the time, that was really tough seeing 9K and then 8,500 get blown through. But I knew that I was just adding at major supports on the way down, and as we rebounded really quickly, all three of my bids were already back in profits. Right, all three of those kind of trades or those levels. So contrarian wise, as we move lower, or sugar spot, if you're looking at it as kind of a fiat investment, 7,500 I would say is definitely a better level. Right, as we move down, it's a better level. It's creating a better risk reward. A higher EV, you could say. If you're putting money in your time horizons that far out and you're bullish in the asset class. If you're looking at a trade, then kind of as things move against you and momentum picks up, yes, it might be a little bit less attractive, right? But that's kind of the difference with investment and trading once again. Splash Sodas look like a good spot to be accumulating more time on Ren. To you guys, or does anyone else think Bitcoin's a little further to fall and may drag alt price a little bit lower? Yeah, Splash, that's kind of what I'm contemplating as well. I actually do think Bitcoin comes a little bit lower, right? The sell volume finally stepped in. But I still haven't kind of really seen a nasty wick or a nasty capitulation kind of through. I would like to see even something almost all the way through this support, right? So, I'm personally waiting to kind of pull the trigger, but Tomo and Aura are my picks. I would say Ren is probably a close third. That's how I'm approaching it. I haven't added to Tomo or Ren or Tomo or Aura yet today. And then Tomo or Aura, and then kind of my third area that I really want to focus on is going to be some of these large caps which got hit a little bit harder, right? The three reasons, and I put this into the newsroom today, the three reasons that CNBC had crypto falling and Bitcoin falling today, and this is coming from Brian Kelly, so take this, do with it as you wish. He talked about regulatory uncertainty, which I think is fair. He talked about institutional investors, continuing to be on the sidelines or continuing to not come in. It's almost kind of a meme of crypto now. Institutions are coming in, right? And that still isn't there. We're still continuing to build out kind of that infrastructure, that suite of products. Coinbase is doing that. And then the third one is what I kind of started the whole thing off with is, yes, this move does seem pretty terrible, right? But if we're looking at kind of the 11.6 drop to 6.6 is kind of docile. And it's honestly just kind of completing the formation. So a little bit of normal volatility, a little bit of regulatory uncertainty. And the regulatory uncertainty, if you didn't follow yesterday, the SEC closed down a bunch of ICOs and some other, looking into some exchanges. So we'll see how that plays out. That could be a little bit of FUD. But technically, it's just kind of completing a pattern. And when 7,800 broke, that major support is when we kind of got the massive sell, right? So it's tough. I definitely feel like I missed a really juicy short, but I'm never going to be able to catch them all. And still up a really nice amount, a healthy amount since April. So May has definitely been, the last 2 weeks of May have definitely been a little bit tougher, but that's just going to happen. And that's kind of just preserving capital and continuing to look for the next play. Great, guys. It's crypto. It's 100% a long game. Right, that's also kind of another reason why I align a little bit with Pomp and with Ronnie and a couple of those guys and not wanting to short or really be selling Bitcoin when we're down here. In my view, if I'm looking out, I don't know, I can't give financial advice anyways, and I have no idea anyone's individual circumstances. Just kind of taking the information, the rough information, anonymous information I have from the group on how old everyone is and things like that. Depending on your time horizons here, to me, and in my belief and how much this is going to be worth, 7,500 selling there just seems to be at a discount, right? John B., what's your view on alt season? My view is this: if Bitcoin can bounce, then I also think ETH will bounce, and I actually think to me this would still be a higher low if we're looking at this trend. And there's so many different ways to identify trends, guys. You can either use higher highs, higher lows, or in kind of peaks and troughs like that. You can use, I know a couple guys in the group use moving averages, right? So you can use, let's say if I just throw on, what do I have on here? I have a 30. Let's say if I just throw on a 30, you can say if price is above the 30 moving average, then we're in an uptrend, and when we're below it, that's a downtrend. There's so many different ways you can identify the trend. I like to use higher highs, higher lows, and things like that. So to me, if Bitcoin can turn around, right, I actually think ETH and other alts will do the same. For a lot of alts, especially the Bittrex ones that we kind of moved into, this was really kind of beginning of April and kind of through April, and now especially I've kind of focused on them a little bit more in May. Those coins really are still at cycle lows. So ETH and some of the larger caps, and definitely the Binance coins, some of the more hyped coins, are kind of halfway through a shortened cycle, right? Maybe 75% of the way through a shortened cycle, if we're calling this kind of a shortened cycle, December to end of January. And this would be a full cycle. Right down here, if this is the all-time high as well, right? This is that level. This is kind of, the shortened cycle, we kind of got 60% or 70% to that level. Once again, this was an even shorter cycle, if you want to call it that, only getting to about 70% of even the shortened cycle. So my view is if Bitcoin can turn around, I think ETH and other alts will as well. If that doesn't happen, right, and ETH charts kind of a lower low, then yeah, we're going to have to continue to wait and continue to kind of wait for all other alts, I would say Binance and large caps, to be towards their cycle lows. So, a few strong winners in April kind of definitely helped a lot. Loom, Tomo, Ren almost pulling a 2x, still holding a little bit strong. I'm anticipating that Tomo and Aura are kind of going to lead the charge for me again. Other than that, really just snapping up, the 30 or 40% wins on coins like Nav, AppC, and a few other ones, and Simple Token really just getting some 20, 30% wins. And then this month, it's kind of just been a story of keeping Icon and such at kind of a 10% loss, Enigma at break even. Everything just kind of lingering around either a 10% loss or kind of a really small gain break even. Right, so May has been a little bit disappointing in terms of movers. I don't think alts have hurt me, but Bitcoin, the move today, definitely did not hurt the dollar value of kind of anyone's positions. So that's kind of my view. It's hard to say in terms of an alt season. I guess the reason being, I guess the alt season definition is a little bit blurred, in my opinion. Right, if I just want to kind of rank things on how they're valued. Cycle-wise. What level I'm watching for ETH BTC? You guys know I've been watching kind of these fib levels all the way up and all the way down. If this is kind of the local high of this fib range, right, the next support down, major support in my opinion, is going to be this support down here in this fib range. And that's down around 0.073, 0.074, right? So those are kind of the major levels. All these levels in between, I think, are a little bit weak. What's up, Jorge? Yeah, thanks for stopping in. So that, in my opinion, is going to be a major level for quote-unquote alt season, if you want to call it that. To me, that would mean the trend continues if we can catch that. But this is kind of a guide for what's happening in terms of Binance and the more hype coins and definitely the larger caps. Bittrex and a lot of those are kind of still at cycle lows, and there's been just a few big winners if you can snatch them. So that's kind of my view, I guess, on alt season. It's kind of blurry right now. I really kind of more focused on moving into any alt once I think kind of Bitcoin can turn around. That's just kind of how I'm viewing that. David, Simple Token. Yeah, I consolidated Simple Token, David, after it broke that support. I believe we went over it in a stream. I actually might still have Simple Token open. I need to log into Binance. I haven't logged into Binance yet today. But it is back at that all-time low support. Oh, no, I remember this. Still isn't at the alert then. So, yeah, if I'm looking at Simple Token, the alert was down here, right below this all-time low, swing low. I can even pull this up in the group if Discord will load for me. Discord's not pulling up. But yeah, just run a quick control F, or I'll post it again in the alt trade updates. But I remember this one, David. This was kind of that first level we picked out. This was kind of a 20% take profit zone. And then we've now moved back to kind of that all-time low. Right. So if this was the A&E original reversal, this was our retest that we had, right? And we actually kind of played it twice. There's a second retest even. Broke through that level. And now it's what? From the original entry down about 10, 20%. Right, so able to take, I think we already got 15 or 20% profits on this, and now this entry is down about 20%. But I haven't logged into Binance. Honestly, this might be one of my only coins on Binance still, other than Wanchain. I'm not doubling down yet, David, though I do think this level is pretty attractive. To me, kind of, I want to move similar to April. April was a really, really strong month in the way that I did that, and kind of just moving into the two, way higher conviction plays. And I kind of want to do that again, right? I definitely want to have exposure to maybe 2 or 3 other really nice technical setups that I like. And I like Simple Token. I like this setup as well. But I kind of really want to move into the 2 higher conviction plays. Yeah, some stranger. I looked into Poly. I was talking to Bully about that one. He really likes Poly. It's interesting, kind of the way it plays off ETH, right? But no, I haven't actually charted it. I'll need to look at that one after the stream. But David, hopefully that answers your question. I actually don't think this would be. I don't think this would be a bad level at all to move in. Right? I actually really like this support. I think it's extremely attractive, and it kind of follows the framework. It is the April low. But to me, it's not one of my really high conviction plays where kind of the fundamentals and the narrative aligns. I think it's a good project fundamentally. It just doesn't have kind of the narrative or it's not really in the sector, kind of what I'm looking at there. Ethereum projects have just absolutely taken away or kind of taken off. Kind of regional platform projects have taken off. And then kind of exchange tokens, if they can have enough volume, can really take off. Yeah, Decal, and I saw him talk about Poly a lot. It's interesting. I just saw Pete. He didn't bring it up. I think he has a fair bit of Poly though. I'll look into Poly. I know I've heard some good things. I need to research that one. But right now my kind of top 3 picks are Tomo, Aura, and Ren. Kind of looking for a third or fourth. What's up, Sam? Going well as it can on a day like this. Mention an eye on ICO or 2 after consensus. Any more info on those? I kind of went into it looking at a few, right? There was one, I already kind of brought up Cork Chain. I think that project's going to do incredibly well. Eden Chain is something I contacted the team about getting in an allocation, even though they're oversubscribed, and I'm going to see if I can do that. Other than that, honestly, no. There was another one that I really like everyone advising it, right? But it's a security token, and I'm still not really sure how that's going to play out. I haven't seen too many security tokens hit market yet, and I know that's something I want to be positioned in, right? But it's one of those things on how early do I want to be positioned into it, and whether that's right or wrong, or kind of having too short or being too nearsighted. I don't want to be too nearsighted, but at the same time, if Ethereum scaling kind of platforms are really taking off when they hit the exchange, and that's just kind of the play, then I kind of want to focus on those. But I'll pass that ICO along as well. It's the security token. It's going to be kind of tokenizing venture capital. It's a project that Pomp's advising, good buddy Donnie is advising, and a few other guys. So I'll pass that one along. But Eden Chain was the only other one, but they're both oversubscribed. Really, any ICO that's kind of out there in the public or looking for pre-sale opportunities, I kind of don't want to be in. If anyone's looking for capital, you kind of want to be in the ones that are almost impossible to get into. That's just really how I'm playing them. Kind of similar to the trades. Really moving a lot more into the higher conviction plays and kind of avoiding some of the lower conviction plays. But anyways, that's what I'm looking for with Bitcoin. If I had to pick 2 kind of new support levels, especially for fiat injection type things, not kind of some leveraged all-in trade, right? This horizontal level, I picked out why I like that. Yeah, of course, Sam. And then also this symmetrical triangle that everyone kind of has their eyes on now. It's almost like 7,800 was the one everyone was watching. It seems like now kind of the 7K to 7,100 is the area that everyone is watching. Right, so not holding my breath. Feel like I missed the short opportunity, but hopefully that explains why I kind of don't want to take it now. To me, it just seems like we're too low. It's like why I didn't want to be shorting down here when we were at 6.6. Some people were, or maybe they said they would and they deleted their tweets. It's interesting as well. Saw definitely a nice string of deleted tweets today when Bitcoin crossed below 7,800 or 8,200 or whatever it was. I saw some nice screenshots last week of people going extra long, millions of contracts here, and those are gone now. So. Interesting stuff. Anyways, I think it's a little bit too late for a short. I don't want to revenge trade it today. Kind of start fresh tomorrow. Look for some opportunities, and yeah, it is tough, but I do want to keep things in perspective. I'm gonna wrap it up. unless you guys have anything else that's time pressing, I'm going to be in the group the rest of the day. It's nice. I have my computers and everything set back up, so I'm able to work a little bit faster. And that's all I got today, guys. Frustrating I missed that short. Apologies that we weren't able to catch that one. Sometimes some months I feel like I have Bitcoin down pat, and the last 2 weeks in May, I just feel like I haven't. So it's been tough, but what can you do? Just continue to follow the process, continue to follow my rules. It's really all I can do. So I'll see you guys in the group. That's all I got. Have a good rest of the day. Amidst all the blood, take a step back and kind of keep things in perspective here. Signing off, guys. You're welcome to sleep. Thanks, everyone, for stopping in. Fire any questions you have at me. Happy to help. And I'm out.